Welcome to Podcast for Profit, the show where podcasters become CEOs. I'm your host, Tony Porter, and every week I'm giving you the strategy, systems, and game you need to grow your audience, monetize your message, and build a seven-figure podcast business. No fluff, no cap, just real results. Let's get into it.
Now, in order for you to be successful, you need to sit back and take the time out and ask yourself those questions that even you sometimes just don't feel like you need to answer. So one of those questions that needs to be asked is this. Have you ever thought about growing your audience for whatever business that you have, whether it's coaching, podcasting, digital products, e-com? It doesn't make a difference. You feel like you need to get more leads into your business, right? So have I ever thought about growing my audience? Well, if you have you thought about this? Or what is it that you have been taught about growing your audience? It's absolutely backwards. Think about that. What if it's backwards? I know that's a bold statement. It can't get no bolder than that. But you have to understand, and I need you to hear me out. You've been doing what you're supposed to do. You've been hustling. You've been posting all the content every single day. You've been creating all the valuable information. You sat back and you've dropped gem after gem after gem. And your follow account? I heard lately everything has been moving slow. And it's been moving slow for you in the future. I mean, in the past, but everything right now is moving slow, like Instagram and YouTube. YouTube is going through something right now to where they are checking to make sure you're a creator and you're not an AI bot. Instagram has always been slow. It's hard, man, but you have to be consistent with all of these platforms. You can't just pop out and think, okay, I'm going to post twice, maybe 8 posts today, 4 tomorrow. No, you got to be consistent, man. You got to be consistent. But you feel like everything is moving slow. Now, for me, sometimes this thing feels like it's moving slower than my summers in Louisville, because these summers in Louisville, when it gets hot, it's hot. But you have to think about this. If you're feeling that way, and then you look at your competition, you look at your competitors in your space, because one thing you have to do is you have to make sure you are checking the people in your niche to see what they're doing and why they're posting half as much, saying half of what you're saying, and man, they balling out of control. They blowing up. Ba-boom, like Martin would say. Ba-boom. So ask yourself this, what's the difference? See, they know the one rule you're ignoring. And today, you know how we get down over here. Today, we're going to break it down. We're going to give you that game. We're going to tap in. And when we tap in, we're going to make sure that you understand exactly what it is that you are missing, because if you want to grow your audience in 2026 faster than ever, you got to stop following the crowd and start following this. So stay locked in. This is about to change everything. Hey, yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome back to Podcast for Profits, the show where we stop trading time for likes and start turning your conversations into currency, man. What's good? I'm your host, Mr. Tony Porter, and today we are diving into the number one rule to follow if you want to grow your audience fast. Now, I know that's a bold statement, and there's a lot that I've given you, that I've researched and I've studied. And again, it's bold, man. You got to understand that statement is very bold, but you have to think about you growing a business. Nobody know who you are, especially, listen, podcasting is one thing. You can post a podcast and just pray for likes. But if you're not positioning yourself in social media, listen, here's what the gurus will tell you. Don't post on social media. Man, you better start posting. If you want people to know that you exist, you better start posting. So before we get cracking, let's give us a good reality check. If you're a coach, a marketer who is tired of doing content and ready to start owning your market, you have to understand this. You need to pay attention. Because what I've done is, it's like there's a lot of people that, I'm not going to say gurus. These are people that I'm just studying. And some of these strategies that we're going to discuss today aren't theory. It's research. Like, I've researched Adley Kinsman. I've researched Gary Vee. I've researched David Sands. I've researched Pat Flynn. I've researched so many different people because I wanted to know. The number one king of content right now has been Gary Vee. Listen, Gary Vee posts at least 250 pieces of content a day, but he has a team that does that. So you're a solopreneur and you don't have that team, we could help you out with that. We're gonna talk about that, all right? But there's some frameworks that we need to talk about. And some of these frameworks, I can't say gatekeeping because I've been developing them. I've been trying them out. And so far, Brock Johnson, shout out to Mr. Johnson. I joined the Insta Club the other day. Well, it's been about a month now. And I kid you not, man. There's some stuff that he has taught me about how to grow my business on Instagram that is just super, super dope. And so what I needed to do is I needed to share some of these strategies, man. Now, I'm not giving you what I'm paying for. I'm giving you what I've taken from that and flipped it and put it into my framework, and I'm going to share it with you. Okay. Now, I know what you're thinking, man. Yo, T, everybody's got a formula for audience growth. You're right. But when you check out that formula for audience growth, if you've tried it out, see, one thing you got to do is you got to have action. See, people can give you the game, but if you don't take action, and I had to realize that I'm addicted to courses, man. I bought so many courses and checked into so many email. I get sick of emails, but not because they're not useful. Here's what you got to understand. I was doing it because I just wanted the free stuff at first, but then I realized, man, my business ain't going nowhere. So we know the internet's flooded with tactics. We know this. We definitely know this. We know the internet's flooded with tactics. You got some people that post at 3 o'clock in the morning. And the crazy part about that is Nehemiah Davis, he has a strategy that he uses, and he calls it the info strategy. You know how you be up 3, 4 o'clock in the morning and those infomercials, that's the word I was looking for, infomercial strategy. He posts at 3 o'clock in the morning. Some people are up. And if you are a podcaster and you're trying to grow your podcast, guess what? You might be one of those people that I need to start posting at 3 o'clock in the morning. Because see, right now I'm posting my show clips. We're going to have to get into some of that information that you truly need. See, people are using these hashtags. They engage with for about 90 minutes a day. You don't need to do all of the blah, 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 blah. We're not ready to do all of that. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to tell you stuff that nobody wants to tell you. Tactics without a foundation is just noise. Or should I say tactics without a foundational rule are just noise. So we're going to get to the basics. You know how when you buy a house, you see how people on these TV shows, they buy houses. And when they buy these houses, they strip it down to the bare bones. We're going to strip it down to the bare bones. We're getting back to the basics. The one rule that separates creators who struggle for years from ones who explode in 90 days, that's what we're going to get back to. And so by the end of this particular episode, you'll know exactly why most audience building advice is set up for you to fail. I'm not saying I'm a guru. What I'm saying is I have done the research. I have studied the Alex Hamazis. I have studied the Gary V's. I study these cats every day. I've studied from Maria Went. When I tell you she has the Grow Your Instagram challenge on her particular website, when you start diving in and following the what she says, see, it's not about what people are actually truly saying to you. It's how they present it to you. That's what makes you stay focused. That's what makes you locked in. So the exact rule to keep you from failing that I used to build communities that convert, that I used to build my coaching program, and not just to consume. These are the things we're going to talk about today. And guess what? If you're paying attention, you can implement this today. You can drop this today. You ain't got to change your entire content strategy. This can be dropped today. You got to have that mindset shift. All right. So we're going to talk about one of the biggest mistakes I see coaches out here making that kills their momentum before they even get started. Now, for me, I want to help podcasters build 7-figure, $1 million podcasts. It can be done. We don't have to go chase the sponsors, but it can be done. But you just got to be ready to do it. And then on top of that, it's about having the mindset. It's about having the momentum. It's about having everything that you are needing to have in order to grow, but you got to be willing to put in the work. This is not something that is going to be an overnight success. Right? We can implement a 90-day plan, but it takes more than 90 because after the first 90, you still got to go back and revisit the metrics and pay attention to the KPIs and figure out what worked and what didn't work. You got to jot all of that down. This is a business. So let's get into it, man. You ready? I'm ready. The whole hood ready. Whole squad ready. All right. So the number one rule that I want to talk about first, this is the exact first rule I want to talk about. Man, stop building an audience, start building a movement. I know some of y'all like, man, what you talking about, T? All right, so you got to stop building an audience and start building a movement. You want your audience to grow, but you got to build a movement. And here's the truth that a lot of people just won't talk about. Our audience watches, a movement participates. Now, after finishing that 2025, what I realized is in 2026, people are tired of being spectators. They want to feel like they're a part, right? So they don't want to just consume your content. They want to be a part of something. So they want an identity. They want to feel like they belong. They want a sense of purpose. So when you sit back and you think about that, things have to be broken down in layman's terms so where a fifth grader can understand it. So let me break it down. When you're building an audience, you focus on numbers, followers, views, downloads, vanity metrics, etc., etc., etc. You're asking, how do I get more people to see this, etc., etc., etc. But when you're building your movement, you're asking a completely different question. Instead of saying, how do I get more people to see this? You're going to be asking, how do I get the right people to feel this? See, that's the difference. See, an audience is passive. If you want to be a passive income, then that's what you need. You need an audience. A movement is active. An audience grows. A movement shares. Man, an audience might buy from you eventually. A movement defends you, refers you. And then if you've never paid attention how growing up, maybe you young, maybe you not, but even still, it's the same principles because you got to have a ride or die. Your movement is your ride or die. See, back in the day, back when I first came up with that I wanted to do this podcast for profits, I was doing everything. I mean, every single thing according to the so-called experts. I was posting daily. I was using all the hooks. I was attacking the algorithm like people attack a good steak dinner. See, I was trying to optimize. I was trying to do everything. And you know what I got? I got nothing but crickets. And then I realized, listen, man, and this is real quick. I found Brock Johnson here just a couple months ago. But the crazy part is I've been following Brock Johnson for about a year, maybe 2. And what I realized is when I was following this cat, I really wasn't paying no attention. So he started, I said, forget it. I'm going to join Insta Club. I just want to see what it's about. And just the first night that I joined, it's like 9:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think I watched the entire segment of videos. I don't think I went to sleep until about 3:00 in the morning. Had to be up to go to work. I said, nah, this is powerful. But going back to those crickets that I was getting, I just had a couple of likes here and there. I had a fire emoji, and that came from one of my homeboys. He was being funny. He was just popping in fire emoji, popping out fire emoji, boom, there it was. It was frustrating, man. I was frustrated. I was thinking, man, I'm putting in all this work, and nobody cares. Then I had a conversation with one of my homeboys, and it was crazy because when I had this conversation, he was on the verge of building out his e-com store. This is his second one. He started out drop shipping. He had made 7 figures. Real humble dude. And he asked me one question that changed everything. He said, bruh, are you trying to get people to follow you or follow with you? I looked at him like, what? Because I realized I was so focused on being seen, I forgot to give the people a reason to move. So I made the shift. I stopped creating content just to get views. I started creating content to give people a mission. All right. I started saying, here's what I know. Or should I say, I stopped saying, here's what I know. And I started saying, here's where we're going. You see, I had launched a couple of communities that I didn't feel right. So I launched the Solo Empire Network. I launched the Amplified Podcast Academy. But when I launched the Amplified Podcasters Academy, because what I was doing is those first 2 was built off of just whatever. I was following the gurus. Do it this way, sign up, do this, get this. I didn't just teach that podcast and monetization. When I got with the podcast, when I started Podcasters Academy, I was inviting people into my vision where they had a voice. See, when you're building a community, you got to understand something, man. Building a community, you want people to get in here, you want people to migrate, you want people to basically become you. In so many words, they have their own identity, but they still become you. And when I decided to do that, that's when everything shifted for me, man. I mean, it's crazy. Like, it took for my homeboy to ask me that question, and I had to think about it long and hard. When I thought about it, I was like, yeah, he might be on to something. So after that, I said, let me make some content. And then I started paying attention to people wasn't just watching anymore. They were joining. They was commenting. They were sharing. When I got with Brock, like, he's like, He's showing you how he gets down on Instagram, right? But when I'm starting to study coaches and creators, they're not just teaching, they're having fun. I've been missing out on this. I've been so anal retention to just want to just keep showing up and making content when the content needed to be made a different way. So that's what I learned. Movement grows faster than audiences every single freaking time. Now, before we go any farther, listen, Podcasters Academy is brand spanking new. All right. We want to get you in there. We want you to learn how to start the process. We're not going to teach you, because we have a free course. We're not going to teach you how to go out here and get the expensive mic. We're going to teach you the business fundamentals of starting a 7-figure podcast. All right. And that podcast is strictly a movement. Man. Everybody needs to learn how to leverage their voice. See, my podcast community is to help leverage my podcast profit engine. So I want you to get in the community. So we're going to leave a link in the description. Join the community, man. It's free. Every day we're adding new stuff. Like right now, I'm putting in the free course. This brand spanking new. I've been talking about it. And I finally got it to where I want it. But here's the problem. I took too long. So now we're just going to go. I need you to join. We're going to start getting busy. I want to tap in. I want to know where everybody's from. All right. So I'm going to leave you a link in the description below. So now, let's talk about this. Now, once you understand this, once you lock in and you're locked in today, your content should never just inform. Your content should start enlisting. Every post, every video, every podcast episode, it should make people feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves. Not her. It's a tip, but here's what we're building today. Here's what we're going to build together. And that's what the community is about. We're going to build together. See, we're not just going to try to help you make money, but we're going to take back control of our income, our time, and our freaking legacies. All right? Because that's the most important thing that you need to think about. Taking back your legacy, taking back your time, and taking back your income. So that's the shift. That's the energy we want to talk about. And that's the movement that we're going to set forward. So now there's another question that you might be asking yourself, and that's how to build a movement. So now you know the rules, but you don't know exactly how to do it. Well, let me give you the framework. I call it the 3 C's of movement building. That's clarity, culture, and call-in. So the first C of clarity is it's a movement, and that movement needs to be clear. You need a clear enemy. You need a clear promise. That's it. Your enemy is the problem, the old way, the BS that's holding you back. For me, it's the idea that podcasts are just for building brands. That's what I thought. Or getting famous. That's what most people think. Most people think it's just to get famous. They want to walk around and be hood rich. That's the enemy. And that's the lie that keeps coaches broke. That's the lie that keeps podcasters broke. So your promise is in the new way, the future you're building. For me, it's simple. We're turning conversations into currency, man. That's the promise. That's the destination. That's the transformation. If you can't name your enemy and your promise in one sentence, your message is strictly like muddy water. And muddy water messages don't move people. The second C we need to talk about is called culture. See, movements have their own language, their own inside jokes, their own way of seeing the world. So think about this. When you join a real movement, there's a culture. There's phrases people say. There's value people share. It's a whole vibe. So see, when I started Podcast for Profits, I didn't want to sound like everybody else. I want to be me. So instead of me saying, good evening, man, yo, what up? We say things like block to the boardroom. We talk about trading time for likes. See, those are the things we're doing. Those are the things we're done with. We say conversations into currency, like it's a lifestyle and not a tactic. That's my lifestyle. That's intentional. Because when people adapt to your language, they're not just consuming the content. No. They're identifying with your tribe. And then last but not least, with these C's, man, these triple C's. Number 3, listen, this is the big one. Most people do call outs. They try to convince people to join. But the movements, they do this. They call in. A call in says, if you already believe what I believe, you're already one of us. Come on home, baby. Come on to the side. When I say movements, here's what movements are. All right. We're going to go football. One of my favorite sports, right? So there's 3 major movements. Actually, it's 4, but there's 4, well, let's just say this. 4 major movements. It might be 5. When I get the name and you'll understand what I'm saying. Y'all ready? You have Bang Bang Niner Gang. You have Cowboy Nation. You have Steeler Nation. You have the Eagles. And did I forget one? Oh, Bills Mafia. Those are movements, man. They ride or die. And here's why it's so important that you understand what the movement is. And I want to use this analogy real quick. So when you talk about a movement, right? Bills Nation, Bills Mafia. So I don't know if anybody ever heard the story of Andy Dalton. The Bengals went to play the Bills. I think they was in Buffalo. I think Andy Dalton has an issue with one of his children. I'm not for certain. Allegedly, Bills Mafia found out about it. Now, most cultures will take and troll you, right? No, not Bills Mafia. Bills Mafia rallied around the visiting quarterback and raised money to help with a fundraiser that I think it was a fundraiser. I'm quite sure it was a fundraiser because it kind of moved me when it happened. Bills Mafia, them folk get together, and when I say, when they send that smoke signal out, that's a smoke signal, and they rally around it. And the fifth one, of course, was Raider Nation. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. But I'm just saying, that's a movement over there. It's not begging. It's not convincing. It's just they recognize when something is wrong. And that's what you do in your business. That's what you do in your content. That's what you do with your podcast. It's like, hey, if you're tired of playing small with all of these folk around you, if you know your podcast should be making you tons of money, not just giving you something to do, you're already in the movement. Now let's build it. You feel me? You see what I'm saying? It's not like, come on, join the movement, guys. No, man, you know what you're supposed to be doing. You know your podcast is dope. You sent out the affirmations. You're willing to sin. Let's build it together then. See, that's the energy. That's magnetic because you're not chasing. You're attracting the ones who already are looking for you. Now, here's where this thing gets powerful. And this is something I started teaching when I started with the client-generating podcast blueprint. When you're building a movement instead of an audience, your content starts working for you in ways you didn't even plan for. See, the people, the movement, they don't just watch your latest video. They binge everything. They go back. They watch the old episodes. They go back. They look at your YouTube videos. If they're in their car, they're listening to your podcast. They're telling their coworkers. They're telling their friends. They're in the gym. They share your stuff with everybody. Yo, you got to hear this. And they might be telling somebody something, but then it becomes like they switch it up and make it sound extremely, extremely valuable. When you've already given all the value, they take and flip it a little bit. And you know how you go to McDonald's has that secret sauce where everybody knows what it is. But you know what I'm saying? That's what they do. They become your marketing team. And you ain't got to pay them. So why? Because they're not just fans. They are the believers. They believe in your organization. They believe in what you're doing. They believe that you are the right expert to get them their transformation. Which leads me to this, the mindset shift. And that's what makes this thing work. So the reason most people are struggling to build their movement is because they're scared to lead. They think, who am I to ask people to follow me? I'm not there yet. I haven't had a 7-figure day. I don't have 1 million followers. Listen, just stop right there and just listen to what I'm about to say. A movement isn't about where you are. It's about where you're taking people. Now, I hope I don't offend people, but I'm going to say this anyway. Moses didn't have to reach the promised land before he led people out of Egypt. He just had to know which direction he was going. Moses had millions of people follow him. He parted the Red Sea. That's you. I'm not saying you Moses. I'm not saying you in the Holy Bible. What I'm saying is if you got a direction you're headed, lead your flock, build your tribe, and lead your tribe. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You, my friend, you just have to be clear on where you're going and brave enough to say, if you're going that way too, let's ride it out. Let's ride together. Let's get it done. See, from the block to the boardroom. See, you got to understand something, man. Growing up, people was always like, hey, man, what y'all going to do? We didn't have that mentality. The older we got, the more we thought about it. And each member that I ran with, we all got separate businesses. I've always talked about from the block, hustling, late nights, grinding, to the boardroom. I'm my own CEO. I'm building from where, and it's crazy that I'm saying this because I'm at the point of retirement. That's why I haven't left my 9 to 5 yet. I need all my bread. So I didn't wait till I made it and start leading. I've been leading since day one. And that's where the trust factor comes in. All right. You got to have a trust factor. And look, If this is hitting you right now, if you're realizing you've been building an audience when you should have been building the movement, man, I got you. All right. We're going to hit you with we're going to put some things in the resource chapter. Join the community. Get the resources. You got to get in the community. You got to get the checklist. You have to get the client generating podcast blueprint. All right. But you got to join the community to get it. So that's where we at. There's no fluff. It's free. It's free. This movement, this is what we're going into the future. We're building, expanding. If you've already got a podcast and you know it needs a little work, but you know you have a dope concept, let's build it, man. Let's rock out. Let's build it together. But if you brand spanking new and you want to build a dope podcast, we right here, baby. Join the community. Link will be in the description below. All right. And that's how we roll. So we're going to blow your mind. We are that number one movement, man. We are that movement. Podcast for profits. We turn conversation into currency. We have that podcast profit engine. We have the accelerator. And we have the Podcasters Academy free course. And that free course I can't wait for that bad boy to be finished. I'm putting together the slides. I'm making sure everything is right. Your workbook, everything. That bad boy, within about a week, that bad boy gonna be dope. So here's the game changer. And this is the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. Your audience size doesn't matter if the people are not moved. You can have 1 million followers, but you can't sell a $27 product. Listen, there's a person, an influencer. Have you noticed? Here's what you got to understand. The influencers who be on internet, right? Think about this. There's a group, a husband and wife. They just got locked up. They got a lifestyle that they trying to live. They had to go and rob Lululemon? Come on, man. Come on, man. But you had 1 million people looking at them for the shiny object. That's all they seen. They seen the cars. They seen the nice house. Remember, Bow Weezy got jammed up because Bow Weezy flexing on a plane that has been used in multiple people's pictures. So just remember that. All right. The movement is you can have 500 people who believe in you, who believe in your mission, who believe in your outcome, and you're going to outperform the ones with the million people. So stop obsessing over going viral. Stop chasing followers who don't care. Start building a core group of people who would run through a wall for you, i.e. the Swifties, the Barty gang, speaking of Barty gang, the Beehive, but speaking of Barty gang, I don't know if it was AI generated, so I can't allegedly pinpoint that, but Stephon Diggs had done something at the Super Bowl. Barty gang felt like they dissed the Cardi B. There's images online of a white Mercedes Benz two-door, jet black tinted windows. They spray painted this bad boy orange. That's wrong, but that's a movement. They defending her. They riding for her. You can't say nothing about the Swifties. You can't say nothing about Taylor Swift. You can't say nothing about Beyonce. You definitely can't say nothing about Cardi B. They gonna come at you, man. You ain't got enough ammo for that. It's too many. All right. So please believe me when I tell you it's just too many, man. All right. So let me bring this thing home for you. If you've been spinning your wheels trying to grow your audience and it feels like you're screaming into the void, man, it's because you're playing the wrong game. The game isn't followers, it's believers. And if you want to learn how to build that portion of your business, how to turn your podcast, your content, your message into a movement that actually pays you, because listen, that's what this is about. I don't care what your homeboys say. I don't care what your parents say. I don't care about none of that. There's a few ways that you can get deeper. First, you can start by joining the free community. That's number one. Get inside the community. Look at the checklist that will be uploaded in there. Check out the podcast blueprint, client generating blueprint. All right. You got to do that. That's dope right in itself. Okay. And then once you're inside the podcasters community, do yourself a favor. Take the free course. That's how you get started, because then that tells you, because see, podcasting is a way that you need to understand. Your voice is your leverage. You want to turn conversation into currency. All right. So let's do that. Do that, and everything's going to be kosher. All right. So don't stand around. Let's build together and join the community. It's going to have like-minded individuals, bounce ideas off of. That's what the community is about. So you got to understand something, man. When you're talking communities, you got to realize that most communities itself have other people from other avenues, and they bounce ideas off of. How do you think some of these, what do they call them? Think tanks. So yeah, so let's not waste no time. I want you to win. You want to win. I'm here to help you win. And if you're tired of posting into that void, tired of trading time for likes, and you ready to build something that matters and pays out the wazoo, man, join the community, click that link, grab the checklist, grab the blueprint, because 2026 is your year. And it don't just stop. Stop following and start leading. Hey, man, it's your man Tony over here at the Podcast for Profits. We're going to kick it out of here, man. We turn conversations into currency. I'm going to see y'all in the next episode. Peace.
Thanks for tuning in to Podcast for Profit. If you got value today, share this episode with a creator who's ready to level up. And make sure you hit follow so you never miss the moves we're making. If you're serious about turning your podcast into a business,